Hello and welcome to the Just Another Castle podcast. I'm your host Matt, and with me this week is Mike.
80 straight, clack, 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 clack. Oh, I mean, hey, what's up, guys?
There it is.
And our retro aficionado Unoclay.
Here it comes.
It's gonna be one of those days.
If you could hear that, that's a hint of the game I've been playing that I can talk about in my What We've Been Playing segment. How you guys doing?
Good. Oh, I know what you've been playing. And I recognize that. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But first off, we'll start off with our Game of All Times tournament.
By now you know the drill, but if you're some newbie just joining the show, at the start of the year, the four hosts of Just Another Castle each named our 8 favorite games of all time. Then, every week, 2 games go head-to-head, and the winner advances to the next round. In the end, 31 games will fall, and 1 game will rise above the rest to become Just Another Castle's official favorite game of all time. If you want to see the current brackets, head over to www.challenge.com/justanothercastle. That's challenge with an O. Also, sometimes our votes result in a tie, and you listeners can help settle the match. If you want to be part of the fun, follow Just Another Castle or the Mango Viking on Twitter, and you might get tagged to throw a tie-breaking vote. Leave luck to the heavens, and leave the pasta casserole to Matt's sister.
Oh, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Last week's winner was Ocarina of Time, which beat out Super Mario 64 2 versus 1. And this week is another weird matchup, which is also Zelda and Mario once again, with Breath of the Wild versus Super Mario World. So,
Wow.
yeah, this is going to be great. And then I think it's like there's going to be another pairing, which is like 2 Zeldas or something. It's going to be really weird. But does anyone have a preference of who wants to go first, or?
I have a feeling Mike is pretty clear with his feelings here, but maybe you should define them for us, because
So, give us this top tier matchup that I have to sweat out. Maybe I should play. Maybe I should go last. I very hard choice.
I think I know what both of your choices are, and I don't know what my choice is.
Yeah, let Clay go first then, since you know Clay.
I actually,
We'll see.
I'm on the fence, but I can go first if I'm getting nominated. I felt like I knew Mike's, but I can't believe Mike is like having to decide. Like, I thought he was a pretty clear decision.
Yeah, but since mine's very obvious, I want to hear some defense before. Maybe I'll be persuaded.
Okay. Well, I'll start. I'll keep it short and sweet. You don't need to time me or anything like that. But I'll try to give I don't know. I'm doing exactly what I did the other week. I literally don't know at this very moment which way I'm about to vote. Like, I'm going to talk it out to myself on the air. Like, all right, Super Mario World, one of the most influential, most important Super Mario games of all time. Surprisingly hard when you go back to visit it now, because the new Super Mario games have gotten a bit easier, I feel like, and the controls are a little slippier in some ways and very precise in original Super Mario World and SNES. Amazing graphics, introduced so many things to the series that are just unforgettable. Easily the best palette swap in Super Mario Maker, in my opinion, is the most fun to make.
Yeah, the Bowser Mario one's good. Good call.
Yeah, it's got so much going for it. The Star Road piece, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to misspeak, but I think it's the very first Star Road experience in any Mario game of that nature, where there's a whole other map where you go to, and then the levels are insanely difficult, introducing one of the best parts, and even unlocking them is ridiculously hard, especially when you're a kid back in the day, and all you're going on is like hints from Nintendo Power. We didn't have the internet or what have you to look it up, so you had to figure it out yourself, which I did. I sat there and grinded that game until I solved every keyhole, all the worlds, everything, even having to sacrifice the Yoshis and everything to get into some of the secret areas. Friggin' love the game. On the other hand, Breath of the Wild, I didn't expect to love that game as much as I did. I thought it'd be cool. I avoided all the spoilers, and then when it dropped, I was playing it almost completely cold. Never had seen Magnesis till the first time I discovered it in the game. Never, so there was a lot of impact there that I was like completely spoiler free, other than the very first trailer where they showed Link running, through the woods and got attacked. And there's this temptation I have to vote for it because it's fresher and new and amazing, and it did exactly what I wanted. When Mario dropped, it wasn't like you were waiting for Mario to be redefined. You were just like, Mario every single time was better and better. It was just like Mario 1. I loved Mario 2, as you guys know, like Mario USA Mario 2. Mario 3, loved it, of course. it wasn't like you expected Mario to be worse. You expected it to just always be better because that was like the fourth major Mario game of the Super Mario series. Zelda, I needed a refresher, and therefore I'm going to vote for it. Like, just off the cuff, I really needed Zelda to be saved when Breath of the Wild came out. I was getting bored of Zelda, and I hate to say that because it's one of the best series of all time, but I was getting bored of the same formula. So I'm voting Breath of the Wild because it's such a landmark, in my opinion, for Nintendo to reinvent a franchise of that heritage, their biggest franchise besides Mario, at that level. So I just want to give it props because I just cannot believe what it did for Zelda to me. That I'm like, I'm back. I'm completely back. I played 120 hours of it. I'm like, this is amazing. I can't wait to see where they go next. I'm especially glad they're not afraid to innovate with the series anymore. Whereas Mario could use something like that. I haven't played the latest one yet, so maybe I'll be surprised then too. So there's my vote. I think I got to give it to the new guy on this one, even though they're both games I would, take to a desert island.
All right. Nice.
And who's up next?
Poor Clay.
I think it got
been hypnotized by actual garbage.
I think I got to get Mike. I think it got to go to Mike. I think we know it's got to go to Mike now.
I don't even want Matt. Give me whatever made up timer. I don't even need it. All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready to hear your story.
Here. I'll open it with a statement like this. No. Everything Clay said. N-O. Okay. Do you want a game where you barely know the story? Music's kind of overrated. They reinvented the franchise into a worse kind of way using more stuff from Skyward Sword. Yeah. Then you play Breath of the Wild. If you want to fall asleep, like if you're having problems sleeping and aspirin or whatever it's not doing, NyQuil's not doing it, then you turn on Breath of the Wild. All right, we're talking about Super Mario World. All right, we're talking keyhole, different color Yoshi. We're talking a game that's so good that even Super Mario World is bundled twice on its same system with the Super Mario Brothers All Stars plus Super Mario World or the Super Mario World. Then the remake for the Game Boy Advance version, which made it even better. All right, instead of the green sprite Luigi one. But I mean, I'm just saying, guys. I'm just saying, why would you want to play a game that ruined the franchise? So that's it. I don't need anything other than that. Other than the game that ruined the franchise. Actual garbage. Hey, you want to know what Breath of the Wild is about? Hey, guess what? Nobody knows either.
Fair enough.
Oh my.
I'm sorry we have to disagree because we're both passionate gamers, and newer listeners or occasional listeners may not know that Mike really differed with a lot of people's views, many of the critical views on Breath of the Wild, but you got to respect him. Dude plays a lot of video games. It's just not the direction he wanted the series to go in, and I don't understand it, but I respect your opinion, man.
Thank you.
I do. I just don't get how you don't like it, but it's like, okay, it's like
I don't want to play. Zelda is not about leveling up equipment, finding other shit, etc., etc. Like, it's not about that. Like, Zelda's always been about finding, as you progress on and you go into dungeons, you get the best item, and that helps you solve and you learn and grow with the world. I don't need no bullshit game where I gotta cook for all my things and I gotta pick up enemies' weapons. I'm like, I don't want The Witcher. I don't need no American RPG. All right, I'm trying to play Zelda here. All right?
Yeah, that's the core of the difference between you and me on the view, because like you're clearly not tired of the formula that's been established since Ocarina. Like, and I just was. And I mean, that's fair. Like, I mean, I get it. You're just not tired of that formula. And that's why a lot of people like break off from Nintendo, even as a whole company sometimes. You guys both know it. We lived through the Wii U era. We lived through the Wii era. We had to listen to all our friends being like, Nintendo, it's just the same thing again and again. Another Mario, another Zelda, yada, yada. And that complaint, I feel like, is what comes. That complaint is valid from other gamers that don't have the relationship to Nintendo that some of us do. That we're just like, well, we kind of like different reasons, but we stick with them for different reasons. For me, it was like breaking my heart, like privately for years. And I'm like, every time I play a Zelda, Skyward Sword, what was the one before that? Twilight Princess. Like, I'm just bored. Like this is like, some of the parts are cool, but a lot of the time I'm bored because I know that formula is coming. Like, I'm going to go in a dungeon, I'm going to get the next item, the hook shot, whatever. And then it's going to be like, okay, new parts of the world open up, repeat. And I liked it. I like going back to those games. But what I really really am happy to see Nintendo do is breaking the mold. Like, let's break the mold. Let's try things that are different, because everybody loves on Majora's Mask because it broke the mold. Or a lot of people do. It's the cult favorite, almost. And I'm like, no, that's what we need. We need more experiments. We need more different directions. It's not the end of the world. You can just go back to the formula if you want to, later on. So, I respect your opinion. I was getting done. I was like, I just can't deal with this anymore. I'm going to not even buy them, at some point if they kept up with that. But, hey, I'm sure they'll dip back in different directions. They'll probably like kind of do different types of Zeldas. I'm sure we'll get into.
They did that also with what's the 3DS one that came out that wasn't that good. The
Link Between Worlds, or you mean the Four Swords thing?
They keep trying to change the formula, and they just don't know how.
That game was great, but it was too easy. I thought it was a cool experiment. If it would have been harder, I would have loved that game. Like, I like it, but it was just too easy. Mm-hmm. Like, you could just get your
you just get the items right in the beginning, and
and you could get your money. You could get money drops so easy that you could buy all the items, and it was like, now the game is like just walking. Like okay, just go find things. But I did like it because it is, in my opinion, like a decent modern interpretation of Link to the Past, which is, everyone knows, one of the greatest Zelda games of all time. It's not as good as Link to the Past, but it was a cool idea. And I think you're right to even cite it, because they were already dabbling their toe in the idea of, let's reinvent Zelda a little bit. Like, let's try something different, and I think we'll get 2D Zeldas and 3D Zeldas, but I think you're going to be probably seeing more 3D Zeldas like Breath of the Wild, because it was a smash hit, regardless of not liking it.
They said they have a 2D Zelda team still, and they're gonna try to do something different with that. So I'm sure that's inevitable. Let's not to drag this section out too long. I'll get to mine. So I played both of them. I like them both. To Unoclay's comment of voting for Breath of the Wild because it did so much different for the series. I don't think that's necessarily fair, simply because Zelda was in so much of I don't want to say a rut, but it had a very, not distinct, it had a very rigid formula, and to do anything other than that would easily stand out. So I don't think the standing out part is hard. Obviously, if you do it well, then it makes it better, which I think it did well for the most part. But I'm just going to say I'm going for Super Mario World. I think it's more consistently good. I could probably pick
what a guy,
just about any level, and it would be great. And I like Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I mean, at some point it just gets too much. Like, okay, I've seen these shrines way too much, and you need them to actually get health and stamina and stuff that you actually need to traverse the world. The dungeons themselves aren't really good. It's pretty much the overworld that's good, but I guess your mileage, I played that game for over 200 hours, so I still like it. But how much you like that game varies on how much you like exploring, and that can easily get, I guess, repetitive, because the only things that are really structured are the shrines and the dungeons. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Whatever. I think Super Mario World is probably better overall because it's
has IQ past 2, and he sees that Breath of the Wild is like, oh, people couldn't figure out our dungeons, so we had made them for 2 minutes long, and you have to do the same things for every single one. That's all right, dude.
Kind of
that's it. Now you know.
It's kind of like putting comparing procedurally generated levels to designed, and obviously Breath of the Wild isn't procedurally generated, but it's similar to that, where something is very distinctly designed and the other is not as much, I guess.
I mean, I respect everything you're saying. I don't see that comparison at all. I mean, I don't understand. I don't think I understand where you're going with that, because
I'm trying to think of while I'm talking, but
it's super well designed. I mean,
I know the answer I want. It's just hard to get.
What was that?
I said I know the answer I want. It's just hard to explain it, I guess, on the spot.
Sure.
But
I mean, I understand the complaint about the dungeons not being deep and the dungeons being relatively simple puzzles. That's a fair complaint. And if someone's I had friends who had that complaint, that I was their big thing. They're like, I I liked the boss fights in the what do you call them, the legendary guardians or whatever they're called, I forget. But I like, and then a lot of people said something similar to what you're saying. They didn't enjoy the lack of depth to the individual shrine challenges. And I guess I just differed there because I thought they nailed it so hard with like the optional element that like I didn't have to go in a dungeon in order. Yeah, hey, it's just taste, and I totally respect everyone's opinions here. It's like this is like a situation of picking between your two favorite children, like kind of situation. It's not like you hate the other one. You're just like, honestly, like Tommy's just a dickhead, and I like it's
If
like
you didn't
that's
act so much, I would love you more.
Yeah, it's close. You know what I mean? It's just, a little bit of a bitch. Like so. But no, I respect that. I completely understand everything. People. I have a feeling that at the very least, the next Zelda, I have a strong suspicion the next Zelda we will see great deal of increased depth to the shrine challenges, whatever form they take. Even probably a lesser number and greater depth, I could imagine. But I would also bet money that they've already made comments. The three of us already know that they've already effectively made comments that the next Zelda will probably be something like Breath of the Wild, or at least the next major Zelda. Who knows? But I could see them really addressing that because I think that was probably loud and clear by them that a lot of people thought, but what about the dungeons? So, hey Mike, you're clicking a lot, man. I'm sorry to call you out on it. Like it's real loud though.
Oh shit, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, man.
No, it's my fault. It's my fault.
But yeah, no, it's that's cool. It's a fair vote. That's how I expected this vote to go. And I have to say, I'm almost proud of you guys to shut me down. And part of my probably leaning towards Zelda is that I suspected you guys would go that way. And I was anticipating it because you know me, I freaking love Super Mario World. I love old games. It's like my bread and butter, It's it's hard to vote against it. And it was only on the fly there that I was thinking which one changed this series. It was more the rescue was needed of Breath of the Wild for me. Was neat.
That's fair. That's fair. But you said for you the game changed, Link to the Past was your game changer, correct? That was
after Ocarina, it started to become formulaic. Is more like the way I saw Zelda, and then I started to slowly get bored of it.
See, that's fair. I mean, for me, I did actually feel that on what's the word I'm looking for? The TP Twilight Princess. And I was like, you know what? People have a legitimate complaint here. But the thing is though, I understand, they tried to change it with Skyward Sword and it just didn't resonate well. And then the thing is, they decided to keep the things that didn't resonate well, in my opinion. That's how I felt about it. I know you say you're like, okay, they took the better parts of it. For me, I just felt I was like, all right, this isn't the way Zelda should be. I don't know, I always felt from 2D to 3D was kind of more they did do it correctly, but it is fair. You can't put out the same game for 30 years. You're right on that.
Yeah.
So it's just I guess there was some lost in translation for me between the jump, because for me I was like, damn, I love Minish Cap. I think Minish Cap was the closest 3D to 2D Zelda, so it felt good.
Minish Cap's awesome, sure.
Yeah, it's an amazing game. And then Link to the Past was for me, I played Ocarina, then Link to the Past. I was like, oh, dude, I could see how, I could see the transition between. But just for me, it was the transition from people were bored to TP to let's reinvent Skyward Sword to let's do this. And I was like, but now they're formulating from something I didn't like already, that's how it worked for me. But no, dude, that's I'm with you. I was at a point where I was when I replayed TP HD, I was like, all right, I'm a little bored here,
Gotcha, man. Well, I think Matt's calling for closing the votes. Eli's out of this. He does not get to voice his opinion and send it to the Twitters. So, calling it, Matt.
Two of his games are in the next one, so half of his games have coasted along without him even being here.
Yeah, fucking slacker. That college student slacker. Alrighty, man. All right. Matt, what is up next on the agenda, bro?
So we'll talk about what games we've been playing. I've been busy this week, but I have dipped into Super Mario Party a little bit. Honestly, I think I'm just going to trade it in for a GameCube adapter when I pick up Smash. Because apparently it's I can trade it in for $35 or something.
So something.
Might as well. because I don't think I'm really gonna get much use out of it. No, never mind. Yeah, I don't know. To be able to play multiplayer, you need another set of Joy-Cons, which I have no interest or need in buying. And then I don't know, 2 players doesn't seem great.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're talking about Mario Party, right? Like,
yeah,
you do need another set, like, to play with everybody. But the problem with that Mario Party, like, I think, like, when I first got it was I played it with 4 people every single time.
Yeah.
So it's like complete bias. You know what I mean?
It's not even that. Like, I've played most of the Mario parties myself, and still had fun with them. But like the single player stuff, the boards and the other stuff just isn't like great. And like the boards also take like way too long. Like for perspective, it's
slow in that game.
For perspective, like any other Mario Party game would take, let's say, half an hour to do 20 turns. This one, 10 turns is like an hour. It's like,
oh jeez.
So you get less time to plan, and it also takes twice as long, and that's a big ask. Like, to have someone else to be like, hey, you want to sit down for an hour and commit to playing Mario Party? That is like, honestly, one of the weaker Mario parties. It's like, no. There's some other modes you can do where you do like a tic-tac-toe and mini games and stuff. So like other more fun things that are quicker. But
that's
like,
it's funny.
The single player stuff is just replay all of the stuff, and it's like, that's gonna take like 10 hours, and I really don't even want to do that.
So you own it for Switch, but you haven't played it a lot, or you're just messing around with it by yourself, is what you're saying at this point?
No, I played 4 of the boards in single player mode. I played like the partner one once. I played some of the river stuff. So I've put some hours into it, but I'm just at a point where I'm like, I know I'm not really going to play this much, so why bother hold on to it for like the one time that I might play it with someone else? And I might as well just because I'm probably gonna get a GameCube adapter at some point anyway.
Wait, you don't have a GameCube adapter?
No, I didn't get one for Wii U because I didn't have people come over much. And with Ultimate, I mean, I don't even know if that'll change, but Switch is easier to carry around, and I don't know, seems like a good time.
Okay. Yeah, dude, what do you call it? You're gonna get the regular Nintendo one or the May Flash? I mean, it's essentially the same thing.
I'll probably just get the Nintendo one just to.
Okay, because the May Flash, you could use for your computer if you're ever gonna computer things. But dude, freaking the one thing I have to say after your ramble on Mario Party, I think everything you said was like 100% accurate. Like, as somebody who like played it and got everything as well, like it's just, dude, it's so slow and boring. Like, I mean, it's fun with people. It definitely is. Like, that's Mario Party in its nature. But the thing is, compared to other Mario parties, single player is, really lacking, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not there. Like, you don't want to like grind the mini games by yourself, and the dance game by yourself seems kind of stupid. You know what I mean?
You don't even have to win at those. I failed it like twice, and it's like, oh, it still counts. I'm like, all right.
You're like, all right,
I mean, I'll take it. I don't really feel like redoing it, so.
Yeah, but I mean, they had the one single player 82 minigame map thing. I think it was an ode to the first Mario Party mini raft, but it just wasn't
doing that.
Just wasn't as good. What up, Eli?
Yo, Eli. Oh, you can't hear us apparently.
So having trouble joining. It's interesting. You should bring up the Mario Party. I'll keep it short because we got to keep moving here. Sure. But like that Mike had. Listeners that have been listening a long time might know that I have a holiday party at my house coming up. It's an annual thing, and I always feature some game. And a few weeks ago, Mike and I and you had Matt had started talking about like, what game should I feature this year? And Mike convinced me to go for a Mario Party. Well, I want to try a Mario Party. It's going to be tough to beat last year because Duck Hunt with the real gun and real TV and everything were like the featured game, and everybody freaking loved it. It's going to be tough to beat that. And like what I'm trying to imagine, in fact, tomorrow night I'm going to try and have some friends over to test out Mario Party 4, which is the one that I decided to land on because of Mike's recommendation.
You're doing the GameCube.
Yeah, I'm doing a focus group because I don't quite know, because it's not like a party where people sit down and play a game. It's like you kind of casually cruise through the room where the game's set up and maybe play it for a minute. So
Okay.
like it might just be literally like I want to figure out, is there a way people can just literally pick up and play a challenge, and be like, oh, just grab a friend and play a challenge, or just move the board.
They have that. They have Mario Party 4 has that. They have like
You
the
know.
mini game mode rather than playing the board. So like
Yeah.
you should be good when you do that.
Yeah, hopefully it's unlocked from the start because I haven't even played it yet. I got to look at that with my friends and see, and that's exactly what I'm going to look at. Like, hey, everybody, you might not know how to play this. In fact, most people won't because most of my friends are not gamers. Like, they probably played NES or Super NES a little bit when they were kids, and that's about it. And, like, they're just going to be like, oh, what's that? They probably have never played a GameCube in most cases before. Like, it's like,
they can be like, yo, this controller looks kind of weird,
Right.
man.
Right, but I know Mario Party's based on simple mini games typically, so it's like, well,
Yeah,
just
like if you're not playing the board game challenge mode things either, like then you will not have to worry. Like it's not like you need that yield strategy,
You only usually use one or two buttons, so.
And I have a couple gamer friends that like I can kind of ask them to be kind of like on deck to like help people. Like if they walk through the room and see like people like messing with it, but they don't know how to do it, they can kind of be the like guide, be like, oh, just grab that controller, just press A a whole bunch right now, like, or spin the circle, spin the stick or whatever, and do that, give people little tutorials because really it's more like just a diversion kind of a theme thing because mostly it's a holiday party where we're all just catching up and drinking beer and stuff, or whatever. But I like to have that like side diversion for people or whatever, and introduce them to games they haven't seen before since I have a small army of them here in the house. It's like,
dude,
hey,
I think that's really cool. I didn't know the idea was like kind of like a binging thing where it's like, here's all the games and like you sit down at the one you really like and stuff. That's
I don't want to diverge about it, but it all started because one year, one of our friends, this is classic because you're a fighting game guy, one of our friends came in here and got real loud about how good he was at Street Fighter 2. And a couple of my other friends who are a little quieter, who I know are super dope old school gamers, like just listen to him go on for a while. Like, well, let's go play. Clay has it. He's like, really? And they sat down and just like mopped the floor with him like 9 times in a row. Just like he just like famously lost like 9 matches back to back without even like a single stock, and just got up and was like humiliated basically. And they were like he had been like saying how he was almost pro and stuff, and it became an in joke that we're all like, oh, that year our friend was like he's saying I'm pro, and then you guys just like quietly just grabbed a controller and just destroyed him. Just we're like,
oh man, that was a rough night, dude.
They're like, tell me who to pick. Dalism, okay, you're dead. Like, tell me who to pick. Chun-Li, oh, you're really dead. Like it's like, okay, like that kind of thing. So it started from that. So now it's like an annual thing, like what game are we gonna play and who's gonna be the quote pro this year, or whatever. So, so that's it. So did we get Eli in here? Eli, you joined?
Yes, I am alive. I'm in here.
Alive.
Primarily.
There we go.
For some reason, when I was joining in, Skype was being all weird, so got to restart.
Don't worry, you missed Breath of the Wild losing. You're good.
What was the vote? 3-0?
2-1.
I threw Breath of the Wild a vote for it's innovative. You have to listen back to it, but it's innovative redirectioning of the series. No, we could have used you for Team Zelda, but I have no idea if that would have been your vote anyway. But
I definitely would have been, but sad. It's fine.
It's sad. The rules is the
Feels
rules.
Good, man.
Who knows? Your game of the year on Nintendo Enthusiast might win again, for crying out loud.
Yeah, how about it? Matt, you weren't quite done with what you've been playing, or were you? You were kind of like in the middle. We interrupted you or whatever.
So, Eli, what have you been playing this week?
Mainly, so my girlfriend and I actually started playing Pokemon. I ended up picking it up. I don't know if you guys talked about it earlier in this podcast.
No, I don't think so.
What? No? Okay. So it's a fun, I really appreciate the art style and the recreation of the Pokemon world. Really awesome. But my 2 main complaints. Number 1, when you play multiplayer, the game doesn't scale, okay? It just creates this, you pretty much battle 2-on-1. So the way it works is your first 2 Pokemon in the party pretty much battle, and it just becomes a joke. Like, my girlfriend and I each control a Pokemon at the beginning, and we knock out pretty much anything. And the other Pokemon will usually not even get a chance to come back at us, and it's kind of sad because there was no scaling. So that's my first big issue. Second of all, I don't know. Maybe I've just seen the first gen a little bit too many times in the last like 5 years. But catching an Oddish after catching a crap ton of them in Pokemon Go, and played the original Fire Red multiple times. Like I don't know. Maybe. Oh, and then of course in Heart Gold I played through the region again. I don't know. Maybe those first gen Pokemon are getting a little bit too used in my life. So I mean, overall, I think the game is fun. It's definitely fun to visit the Kanto region again, but with 2 players, it's a little too easy. And yeah, I've definitely been exposed to these Pokemon too often.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of done with Kanto. Move on to something else. I get why they did it because it'll sell more for a remake, but
I mean, my girlfriend's been having fun, and it's a nice introduction to the Pokemon world. She was not thrilled, as I tweeted, when Oddish, her favorite Pokemon or first Pokemon that she was using at the time, evolved. She was not too thrilled. And I liked your response, Matt. That was funny. But pretty much when Oddish, for those that don't play Pokemon, for all 3 of you, of which Clay is a person, when Oddish evolves, Oddish is like this cute looking grass type Pokemon. When it evolves, it just it's like got like vomit coming out of its mouth and I don't know what it's supposed to be. It's just like a really gross looking Pokemon. And my girlfriend was not pleased when it evolved. But Matt then replied and said, just think about it as the awkward teenage years before it becomes beautiful. Which is true. Because it's 3rd evolution. It's like a cool Pokemon again. So,
is her objection based on that she likes the chibi nature of like when they're like little baby Pokemon or something? Is that like really what the complaint is or something?
Yeah, I think she liked the cute Pokemon, and then she doesn't like when they're no longer cute. And in this particular case, Gloom is not just an uncute Pokemon; it's kind of a gross Pokemon,
like a horrifying Pokemon. That's great. I never thought of that objection. So like, not being a Pokemon player, for those other two listeners who don't know anything about it, like, so do you ever strategically not evolve Pokemon because you like their original form better for some reason, or is it always better to evolve them strategically?
Nah, it's always, most of the time you evolve them because they always do get stronger. The one exception is actually sometimes earlier evolution, and this is really inside baseball in the Pokemon.
Sure.
Sometimes earlier evolutions will learn moves at an earlier level. So, for example, if the final evolution, let's say the Pokemon evolves at level, 15, and the earlier evolution will learn a new move at level 17, and the fully evolved form will learn the move at like level 25. So, in that case, if you really want this move, it's in your best interest to hold off on evolving for like 2 levels, learn that move, and then evolve. But not very many people do that. And that's definitely like a real inside baseball thing.
That's why I was asking though, because like given the depth of strategy that I know Pokemon can have for people who are like pro players or tournament players, whatever you want to call it, like I would imagine the game could have features like that it's like, oh well, you can the risk reward of like not evolving, but I don't play it, so it's like that's why I asked. So that's interesting. But you're saying generally not. That is not generally a feature people work on, or whatever. Because I just thought of it when you say your girlfriend was like, I'm thinking, well, could she have decided to avoid the evolution and like keep it that way for the rest of the game just for fun or something?
I guess technically, yeah, but it definitely the Pokemon is weaker when you don't evolve it.
You're right.
There are stat boosts you get when you evolve it.
Of course, gotcha. Cool.
The other game I was playing is I've been playing a ton of Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh yeah, nice.
Which is not on the Switch, but is on every other platform. Actually, that's not true. I don't think it's on PC either.
It is not on PC. It's not on PC.
Yeah. So I
heard of this one. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Has anyone else played Red Dead yet?
No, I haven't.
Nope.
The one thing I'll say on Red Dead, and I posted it in the kind of funny chat, and they said to play more of it, and then I'll feel better about it. But I have like this ethical issue in that most times in games when you like do bad things, like when you shoot people or whatever, there's usually a motive for it, like that's just. And in the first Red Dead game, like this happens in the very beginning, so it's like a minor spoiler, but pretty much the government like takes away your child and wife and says that you need to do all this crap to get them back. And so that's like a just reason. Like you're gonna go and do these crimes. In the end, it's gonna be for a righteous cause. And so far, I've played Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm in the 4th chapter. I played for probably 25 hours. Like that is not the case. Like I am doing crappy stuff, and I feel bad about it. Like I'm robbing people and shooting people, and there is not a just reason for it. So it's making me feel a little weird on the inside. But I posted in the Kind of Funny chat, and they said that apparently it gets resolved, and the story is really good the more you play, and that eventually it's going to make sense. So I guess I'm in it for now.
I want to make a snarky comment and then make a real comment about that. So have you ever heard of this game called GTA, also made by the same company?
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Okay. So maybe you'd be familiar with it. Okay, with their moral like indifference. But no, in seriousness, I totally get what you're saying, and I had the same exact comment about playing Skyrim, which I played about 20 hours of it, and it's neat. I got a little bored of it, but I'll probably go back to it at some point and play some more. But Skyrim, like, I was expecting more moral hazard and justice in the game, because like I'll be just like wandering around and I'll go in some cave and there's some like kind of elf weird creatures there, and like basically I guess I'm just supposed to start killing them and robbing them. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this does not feel like there's a reason for me to be doing this. Like, reasonably, I should just walk out of this cave and walk away, because what did they do to me? Nothing. Like, I bet there's a magic sword in there or something if I like pillage the whole place and kill them all. So I guess the game expects me to do that, you know? And my friend said the same thing, kind of. He's like, well, it's kind of dealt with, but no. He's like, I know what you mean. You know, no, you're just supposed to like kind of adventure around and to get into shit. And sometimes you have quests, and sometimes you're just like going in caves, and you know, people are attacking you for no good reason. And I had the exact same reaction, that it almost bothered me, that I was like, this is kind of boring. Like, what's my motive? You know? And the game isn't answering. You know? Yeah, murder. I was like, why? Like, give me a reason, and then I'll murder. Fine. GTA. It's like, yeah, I'm a criminal, so okay, I guess that makes sense. I'm a murderer. Okay, you know, go kill some people, you know, or whatever. So, but yeah, I hear you, Eli. That's a really interesting objection. I like that critique.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because my friend has been playing Red Dead, and he's brought up some weird situations. Like, he'll just walk through town, and he's not like wanted or anything, and someone will try to fight him, and he tries to like defend himself, and then like he punches a guy once, and then the cops are on him, and like 17 people try to shoot him. He's like, what the heck? Or he just walks into a town and he's being like murdered.
That's the rock star
weird
of it. Like, see that, like, everybody made such a big deal about this game coming out, and I kind of pushed back, saying like, hey, I get it, it's a big game of the year, but Rockstar games are Rockstar games. I hate to tell you guys, like, they are, like, they're cool and they're awesome, but I never, and I admit I have not played Red Dead 1, so I'm probably speaking out my ass here, but I'm never like, yeah, you know, they're awesome, but you know what you're getting, you know, when you open one up. And like, I don't know, the level of hype around their games to me is a little bit like surprising, I guess, at this point, where I'm like, yeah, I mean, sure, I'm going to drive around and kill some hookers, big deal, you know, you know, or whatever, kill some cowboys this time, you know, or whatever. But I don't know, maybe I'm not the right market for it, because it's like, you know, that kind of game just doesn't twist my dials the way it apparently does for like a large portion of the gaming audience, like necessarily. Like,
you should play Saints Row 3 then, which is coming out on Switch, because it's like Grand Theft Auto,
it's like
but tongue in cheek. So
yeah,
like,
I've heard,
everything
and
is,
you know, I love humorous games.
really dumb.
Yeah,
but in a funny way.
I'll look at that, man, for sure. When that comes out, I probably will look at that, because I love a good tongue in cheek. I love humorous games. So you're right. Like, if it's like turning it on his head and making fun of it.
Like, one of the weapons is a dildo bat.
You already sold me. Where do I?
There you go.
Here's the card. Like, this
like
is
a
the
10-foot purple dildo bat.
like that they went further. Yeah, they went further than GTA. That's all I need to know. Like, okay, like, I'm in. That's pretty funny. That's awesome. Cool, man.
Cool.
I guess the other thing I'll add is that the game actually, I mean, there are a ton of stuff I like the immersion, the dialogue. The game itself is just absolutely gorgeous. Like, the world they create is pretty I don't think I've ever seen a game like it with the open world, the visuals, and it's like one of those things I'm playing on a 4K TV where while I'm playing through it, it's just so immersive and calming, like galloping through these open fields that look so hyper realistic. It's just very nice, and you live in a city and you just escape into this world of the countryside in the West. So for that, I do really appreciate the game, and I do like what it brings.
Nice. Yeah, not to take a dump on the game or anything.
Well, I think you can afford it. I mean, given the way that it's the kind of game that's like so big that even if it's like not very good, it's like selling like crazy. So it's like I think we can afford to like poop on it a little bit.
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
it's like
Yeah,
I'm sure.
It was just
I'm sure
as
it's
far as like as
you know.
far as Eli bringing up the game.
Yeah, gotcha.
Don't want to poop all over him.
No, yeah, for sure. I loved his critique of that. I think that's really important to think about in games, like because games, just brainless stuff like that, is so easy to market, and it's worth commenting on it. It's like, well, like if we say we care about narrative in games, then let's call it out when the narrative is lacking or it doesn't make sense or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
And gaming is an art form, and we claim that, and I believe that gaming has a lot to bring to people. And once again, I mean, it sounds like the game from what everyone commented on that post that it's gonna take a change and really make you think about things. And so, if that happens, like I definitely will appreciate that, and I'm looking forward to that. But yeah.
Sure, gotcha.
Cool.
Gotcha.
So, Mike, have you been playing anything this week?
Yes, I have, my good man. I just finished Scooter Man. I just finished
nice.
Literally just finished it, like pre-podcast. So
what could you say the name again? I didn't quite hear you.
Oh, Spider-Man. I just said Scooter Man instead.
Oh, that's why it didn't make sense.
But yeah. So that's definitely game of the year. Like without a doubt, game of the year.
Nice.
But like I can't stress it enough how I think that was the best game I played this year. I can't even remember any other game I played. That's how good Spider-Man was. But I cried, man. That's it. Yeah, game made me cry. I haven't cried for a game since Final Fantasy Crisis Core. So
that is a random game to cry to, but I will accept it.
Nah, dude.
I haven't played it. It just seems funny because it's a spinoff.
Yeah, it really is. But I mean, it's important to the story.
That's true. So, I'm sure.
That's amazing. It moved you that deeply.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm also a very big Spider-Man fan. I live 5 minutes from where he technically lives in the comics. He lives in
Hey, if you want, quick, not to recommend another podcast, Mike, but if you're a really big Spider-Man fan, I just listened to a really great episode. It's from like a few years ago. Or excuse me, it's about a year ago. It's probably like early this year.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite podcasts, Retronauts, you could just Google Retronauts Spider-Man, and they did a whole episode covering all the early Spider-Man games up to the Activision years. Like,
nice, dude. I mean, I played a few. I have the Sega one, his original game, the OG Spider-Man game. It's called. Right. I have a few Super Nintendo ones that I played. I don't own, and Yeah. I mean, just
check it out. They have a real big comic book nerd on the show, like that, like just like tears into both the depth of the game, but also into the comic book side of it. Like how legit is it, or how illegitimate are the different games up through, like I said, up to the Activision era, like where it gets like not quite so retro, basically.
Okay.
They're talking about. Yeah,
Retronauts, like Retronauts, right?
You got it.
Okay.
Retronauts, yeah. Just Google for their Spider-Man podcast, you'll find it right away because they have a good comic nerd there.
I played that. Let's see. I'm still running through 3D World with 4 players, even though I played 3D World like a million years ago and got everything. It's still fun. I feel like I played something else. I feel like I beat a few things. I just can't remember. Oh, I beat all 3 Spyros. I got all the platinums. So that was nice running through it again. The old Spyro goes 337%. So it was fun. It was fun, doing just playing it again. Like just, I don't know. Like it just felt like it could have been better, or maybe I played it too much. So I don't know. I honestly don't know how to feel about it. I think it's a great game, but it's $40, 3 games. It's like nothing different. You know what I'm saying? So things aren't changing. Let's see. I can't remember any other game I played. I felt like I played Starlink with Star Fox. I played that. It was terrible. Nice. I think absolutely terrible.
That,
I was like,
that game is on my Christmas list. So what's your review so far? Like, I'm looking forward to it because I'm a good
I'm
shooter
done
like
with
that.
it. I'm
You're
done,
done
man.
with it. You're done with it.
Dude, it's a good game, but it's too realistic flight simulator. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Like, okay, like it's cool. I played the Star Fox stuff. I only played like 5 hours. I was like before I got to like a point where I was bored. You know, it's got like that BOTW grindy esque thing, and I was like, I'm not in the mood for this. But there's something. The Fox is really well integrated into the main story as well as his own story. Like, it's awesome. Like, if you don't get it for the Switch, then the game's absolute garbage. Like, in that kind of sense. But like, if you have the Switch version, it's like, okay, that's not too bad. I really enjoyed playing as Fox. I just thought it was really fun. So
That's interesting. That's partly why I want to get it. Like, it looked like, okay, here's a Star Fox game where we don't have to endure all the media hate of like, oh, the last Star Fox wasn't what we wanted, whatever. You know.
But but if you're looking for it to be a Star Fox game, you're looking at it wrong then. But if you're looking for it to like, to like fill some type of need for that, then you got the right idea. Like, it is not a Star Fox game.
That's what I'm trying to do. That sounds good to me because that's what I'm trying to do. I want to play a Star Fox game. I know Star Fox struggled through Zero, and like they got to figure out what they want to do with the series next. And like I love games like that, but it doesn't have to be exactly Star Fox. And even if I only get 5-6 hours of fun out of it, like you said, it's a Christmas gift. I put it on the list exactly because of that, because I thought it's the kind of game I might not buy if someone else doesn't buy it for me, but I'll have some fun with it. It'll low stakes, that kind of thing.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I got it for half off. That's what the Black Friday sale for it was, and I mean, dude, the R-Wing looks amazing. Okay, there's no denying that. I really love the way it looks. Cool. But like I said, I don't know, like it's like a legitimate flight simulator kind of thing, and so you just it's all right. Like, but I really, really love Star Fox in that game, but it's not enough to make me go, I want to play this game more.
Gotcha.
So,
well, stay tuned. Maybe I'll have a review of it someday.
Yeah. But so I had the Starlink, and I think that's about it. I really felt like I played something more. I mean, I got every costume in Mario Odyssey. I've been like really back on the grind with that game. Like, I mean, I got everything, so it's kind of over for me. But yeah, it's essentially that. Like, I mean, Odyssey will always be fun no matter what. So, I wish I played more. I think I'm just excited for Smash. I got Pokemon Pikachu. I opened it yesterday, and I mean, I had the Pokemon Pikachu Switch, but I'm just saying, like, I opened it yesterday, and I'm pretty excited to play it. I know you guys said you're kind of tired of Kanto. I was like, I'm just tired of Pokemon in the series itself. So like Wade Clay was like tired of Legend of Zelda. It's exactly how I felt about Pokemon. So
cool. Well, I guess we'll move on lastly to Unoclay. Have you been playing much this week?
Yeah, I played a little bit, but I'll keep it as short as I can because I know we're like running long on time here.
Yeah, sorry about that. That's my fault.
It's all good, dude. It's it's called a podcast, bros. You run long. That's how you go. It's
true.
the thing to report on. We haven't been on the air for a few weeks, so I played a bunch of stuff. Piece of news in what I've been playing that I can give out to anyone who's listening has heard me rant about. The game that is going to soon be the most played game on my Switch is Enter the Gungeon. It's closing in a Zelda, which has like about 150 hours on my console. I'm at like 120 on Enter the Gungeon. I've ranted about it. I've raved about it. If you like twin stick shooters with the element of like randomly generated dungeons, but also a story that is a mystery that unfolds, play it. Do not pass go. It's like Binding of Isaac. Either one, you can't go wrong. If you like twin stick shooters with like mystery built into it, I'm absolutely obsessed the game. But the piece of news I wanted to offer is that I've been having a couple bug crashes, like that I'm so far in the game that all I can speculate without having to Google, because I don't want to get spoiled, because it's the kind of game you could spoil if you Google for it too much and see stuff you shouldn't see yet, is that it's such a bullet hell twin stick shooter at points. I think the memory overloads, and I've had a couple full game crashes. The game is very well designed. I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression that it's a badly designed game, because the stuff it does and the number of weapons that integrate and synergies and stuff you can create are just mind-boggling when you get really deep into the game. Hundreds and hundreds of items that cross over with each other, create new combinations, new offensive and defensive strategies. Like just layers upon layers upon layers. You're always finding new surprises like in the game. But there are points of the game that are so bullet hell you can feel the system slow down a little bit, almost like a classic NES game where like there's just too many bullets on the screen, too many objects moving, and then throw in the math of like you firing different offensive weapons or like triggering different events in the game while all that's happening. It's causing crashes, and I just had a crash on the final boss last night, which it's the kind of game where just it's not over when I've beaten the final boss like 9 times now or whatever, like, but I had a crash in the middle of the final boss, which is not a good thing, as you can imagine, on any game. And almost want to throw your Switch across the room. You're like, no, you're fucking kidding me. Like I like if someone was a Gungeon expert, I'd tell you what guns I had and like what was going on and explain, and you'd be like even more pissed. Like, but so my friend told me today he's not afraid of the spoilers. He's playing it along with me in the same way, like just completely obsessed. Like they were both trying to solve all the mysteries in the game together. But he's not so much afraid of looking at spoilers and stuff like that. And he said that the developers have said a fix is coming. They're aware that the Switch version is having some bugs that are cropping up the more people play it or whatever. So stay tuned. If you want to play it and get into it now, there's no reason to hold back, because I've only seen it at really high level play that I've had like 3 crashes where I'm just pretty sure the memory overloads or the CPU's math, like just like the program isn't able to keep up like with what's going on the screen. So you're not going to encounter that early on in the game, like as far as I've ever seen. So that's the news on the Gungeon front. And what I've been playing, to keep it very short, is a classic game that my very generous friend handed over to me. I got to give a shout out to my boy Gerard. He gave me cold at a party. We're hanging out, and he goes, "Hey, I got this old game you should play." I'm like, "Oh, cool. I always like an old game." And he comes out with a copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day for fucking N64. What used to be one of the super rare N64 games, it's not quite as valuable as I thought, because when I checked eBay, legit copies go for around $60 to $80 these days. Where I remember a few years ago, I think Conker's was like behind the glass window at a game show kind of thing, where it's like, this is a very expensive game and you're not going to touch the game unless you show us the money.
Really? No way. I knew Conker's was a max like $90-$100 game. Like I never knew it was like a don't touch kind of game. That's crazy. Maybe
I was wrong, Mike. I mean, I might be wrong on that. I never checked the prices. I'm not a big N64 collector.
I know. I'm surprised. Conker, is this your first N64 game that's not Mario 64?
No, I have a decent collection, but I mean, it's just like I just never played this one, and never back in the day. I mean, I'm standing here, I look at my library, I have about 30 N64 games, and I probably sold away like as many when I was younger, so I'm not like illiterate with the system, but like I definitely mostly played the biggest hits, or whatever throughout the day.
Okay. No, I was just wondering. I'm like, all right, I know you played Ocarina of Time in like 64. Yeah. I'm like, I feel like you hated every other N64 game. No. I'm like, did he ever play Banjo? And like,
it's just my most. As I've said, I don't want to go on too long. It's just my system that I have the hardest time going back to because of the polygons and stuff. It just doesn't look as good as I wish it did when I play it. That's it. That's the rant, But I've been playing it more and more in the last couple of years because I have a modded system that outputs pretty good graphics, as good as you're going to get, really. And I play it. You can, for anyone who's listening and doesn't know about all this stuff, you can simply play N64 in an emulator and have the best graphics. Playing original hardware, you're almost taking a hit. Like, emulators look better for N64. Period. The end.
No, they do. It smooths it somehow.
Yeah, I admit it. I just totally admit it. It's if you want the best experience, go play it on a computer. Get a ROM and download an emulator. And it's like it's gonna look better, because when you play on old hardware, even with a modded hardware and upscalers, you're still looking at a fuzzy image a lot of times. And that's the way it is. But speaking of Conker, I didn't expect it to be what it is. I knew it's famous for being dirty. I knew it's famous for being the R-rated game on N64, but at least twice, I'm not even that far into the game, I've had my jaw hanging open at its audacity and its disgustingness. And I'm like, oh, they weren't kidding. This game is gross as shit. It's like a South Park, only without quite the level of writing of South Park, but it's I'm not regretting it, but this game is something. It's like
surprised
its
you at the very least.
Yeah, did you guys ever play an emulated version of it, or Mike, you've played it in real life before or whatever?
Repeat it again. Which version?
Have you ever played it, period, like in any form? Have you ever played Conker's?
I only played the N64 one because I borrowed it from somebody. Well, my older brother borrowed it, and then it was gone before I even like.
Oh shit! Someone stole it. Someone stole it, or it just disappeared?
No. It was not mine. So I just had. I woke up the next day and I guess my older brother's friend picked it back up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seemed like I think my parents kind of knew ESRB ratings, so
Yeah.
like.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was like I've never had like an M-rated game really before.
Yeah.
You know?
It's. I will say this, and then we can move on because we are really, really going on too long about everything tonight. But like, what I can say is this: is like playing a 3D game that isn't designed by Nintendo in this modern era can be a struggle. Because even though it's a cool game, and even though I'm enjoying it, like totally, like admitted, I'm enjoying it. Like the puzzles, as I was trying to explain to one of my friends, they're not fair. Like it's literally the kind of puzzle where it's like, okay, you're locked in this room, and there's only so many options you can do, and so just try everything. Like just try everything. Like to like get,
not wrong, dude. Not wrong.
You know. And I'm like, this kind of gets boring, but the game is funny enough to keep me playing it. But there's this part of me that's so far, and like I said, I'm not that far into it. I'm only a couple hours into it. Like, that's like, I'm like, if this wasn't raunchy, I would almost not like this. Like, you know, it's like I'm literally stuck in what would be called a boss fight because the game is very unconventional. The boss fights, and at least some of the ones I've fought, are more like puzzles. Like than boss fights, like where it's like there's a monster in the room and it's attacking you, but you can keep collecting health and staying alive, and you have to figure out the trick to like. Almost like how in like Mario, you know, what am I thinking? Mario 64, you have to just figure out that Bowser you have to grab by the tail and throw him. That's what you have to figure out. Like
yeah, but like I mean, the sense around it at first, like Nintendo like set it in a way where you will figure it out somehow,
right?
Some like ingenious formula.
And like Conker's is a little bit like less than that at the parts I've seen so far. It's more like just try everything, and eventually something will happen, and then you'll get to move on, and it's like, and it'll be funny. Like, so that's your reward. It's like, whatever you do, it's going to end up being funny. And you're going to be like, oh my God, that was so gross. You know, like, and then like you move to the next scene and there you go. And you get a cool cut scene and you get, there's a lot of cut scenes, a lot of comedy. And it's like, you know, I'm not regretting playing it. It's almost like in this day and age, it comes with that warning. If I was going to tell someone to play, I'm like, don't expect it to be the best designed puzzles you ever saw. You're playing it for the humor, you know, at the end.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with it. It's great. It's a legend. I don't regret playing it. It's a little misogynistic. I will say that for modern tastes. If you were going to review this game now, it is like.
I mean, would it even get through testing?
I haven't even gotten that far. No, exactly. It's like, and I've already sensed it. It's like, this game is not exactly PC by modern standards, like of gender roles and things like that, you know? So comes with a warning also for that. It's like, hey, it's a product of its time. And then, you know, like leave it at that, you know, it's like whatever, you know, I like, it's not enough to put me off it in any way, but I also have a thick skin for that kind of stuff. I'm like, hey, whatever, it, you know, I could understand why someone was offended by this. I'm just gonna play it and enjoy it for what it is, you know. So whatever, it's Conkers, it's a legend, and I cannot believe I have a copy of it because I was just like never gonna spend the money for this kind of thing, and I was like, oh my god, hey, my friend is fucking cool. I was like, I'm gonna buy you some beers. He's like, that sounds good. So,
that's awesome.
Yep. So
Cool.
That's it.
So I think we'll move on to some news. I guess we'll start with this. So Nintendo's finally decided to axe the YouTube Creators Program, and with that, they're also allowing creators to monetize Nintendo content on a multitude of platforms like Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Nico Nico Video, which is basically Japanese YouTube, and Twitch, most importantly. So providing you like add something to it and you're not just like re-uploading the trailer as is, which makes sense. But yeah, they've I don't remember how many years ago they implemented it, but it's at least 3 or 4 now. And finally they're getting rid of it and seeing that YouTube is just another way for people to advertise more than them actually losing anything, which never made any sense. But
so what's exactly the deal? That like Nintendo's not going to enforce that. The only thing I know much, you know, way more about this stuff than most of us, Matt. Like, or at least me. Like, so I know the deal is like Nintendo sort of has that rule. Like, if you do Nintendo, they like lock you in only talking about Nintendo. They don't want you to talk about other people.
So
is that part of it?
Clay,
that's how their program worked. If you signed up with them as like a multi-channel network or something, then you could really only do content on Nintendo games and some other stuff. It never made any sense because you could still monetize outside anyway to some extent. And their revenue rate was like 60-40 or something. It was pretty low as far as most of them go. But yeah, now they don't have that because they don't need to, because they're just letting anyone monetize.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
So
that's cool.
yeah. So because a lot of big creators like wouldn't do it because they're like, look, I'm trying to avoid it in some way, and it's getting claimed anyway. So they're like, you know what? Forget it. We're just not doing it. And that's Nintendo's loss more than theirs, because they can, make videos about basically anything else.
Right.
But now they have that option, and on the eve of Smash, no doubt, which is funny because. Right. Which is funny because Smash is like the one safe game where anyone can monetize and they can't do anything because there's too many companies involved that they can't copyright. Because like if Nintendo copyrighted it or claimed it, then like 6 other companies would be like, no, our character's in there, you can't claim it. So that's funny, but
Nintendo had really specific ones. I remember one time like they were like, this is the Mario Galaxy 2 soundtrack, and it would be on that Smash video. Like the Smash ones would be fine. But then, like, it played a Mario Galaxy 2 song, and they'd flag me.
Yeah, music is a real problem. We'll see how that works out.
Yeah,
because usually I think music that gets
they're
caught.
Just trying to get with the times, Like, I also heard, I don't know if this is in your news, but Nintendo made a Japanese Smash League, So.
I haven't heard it, but.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. At least they're, like, trying to support it. Like, I know Splatoon 2 is like at its end, but kind of like I remember when they advertised the Switch, they had like the whole fake stadium thing in Splatoon 2. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool.
Eli,
that they kind of followed up.
I think you wanted to say something, Eli.
If he did, he doesn't anymore.
Apparently, I think I cut him off at one point, but I can't hear him now. But I guess you should see more people doing Nintendo content, which would be cool.
Good for Nintendo. It's good for Nintendo to get with the times a little bit. That's like they're doing everything right this generation. Keep doing that, Nintendo. Like, get with the times. Like, now get rid of the voice chat app. Just give in. We know you worked hard on it. It didn't work out. Give in on the voice chat app. We all know that it's a fail. You don't need to like hang your head and hide from it anymore. Just like
we're using Nintendo voice chat app right now. Because it's just calling each other.
Exactly. Yeah. It's called Skype, or Discord or whatever. Like, come on, Nintendo, like get with the times. Like, but
I'm
that's
sure
great news.
Yeah,
I know. Well, I'm just saying, like, if they're making these moves in 3 or 4 more years, we'll see some change.
At the end of the Switch is like,
yeah.
Well,
they're like, all right.
It was always weird because even with the Wii U, they partnered with YouTubers and like freaking Facebook for Super Mario Maker and a bunch of other people to make Nintendo related videos. So it's like they still wanted them to make money off of it. Mm-hmm. And then I guess they just didn't want any schmuck
like
to, but
once, like a YouTube baker, and I was like, okay, that's cool, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Part of it, because they have a new president right now who's younger, and maybe it's just the mentality's a little different too. Maybe it's not even anything other than just the president being like, well, it's stupid that you're not allowing, more free reign.
That's true too. Because what was he put? He was put through this year, I think.
Yeah, he's new this year.
That's not that long ago.
Good point. That's a huge good point. I mean, that cultural change.
You got to think. I mean, the president now is 20 years younger or something like that, 20, 30 years younger. So you got to think there are huge changes that are coming just from the age. And, if Kimishima, I think he was like 68 or something like that.
Yeah.
He probably did not know YouTube and was like, all right, well, that's our copyrighted content. Screw them. We're in control. Now you got a younger person who's like, actually, this is free advertisement and all this. That wouldn't be surprised if it's just part of the mentality shift.
Yeah. They're loosening up in every direction. They're getting it. They're like, there's no hiding. I mean, because part of the reasons a company would do this, or any political party or any country would do this, is because they want to control the message. And they're just realizing that's over. You cannot control the message. If a game is bad, people are going to find out. If people want to spoil a game and put it on the internet, people are going to find out. But bottom line is freaking advertising. Like, that's it. Like, that's all it is. It's advertising. It's going to help you most of the time. If you're doing a good job, it's going to help you. If you are a crappy company making crappy games, it's going to hurt you. Well, that's gonna sink your ship anyway. Like
Dude,
if you're
people found out before YouTube, okay? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people were finding out word of mouth, text forums, etc. Like,
sure, but Nintendo doesn't want to face that. Nintendo didn't want to face that. They're facing it now. That's it. They're like, it's over. That era of control, that era of keeping games off their system, is a memory now. Like, keeping R-rated games off their system. They want those games to come to their system now. If Red Dead Redemption came knocking, they would have it on their system if it could handle it. It's not like an era where they're like, no, people get shot in that game and there's no ethical reason for it. So that can't be on here. That's over. I mean, I'm not saying the door is totally open to everything, because they do try to exercise some quality in their licensing, but it's night and day. It's night and day. Conker is notable because it came in an era when you can't believe Nintendo let something like that get through. And
they also apparently hosted parties where they gave out free alcohols too.
Yeah,
so they dived right in. It also wouldn't make sense to not let people monetize when you've already set up the Switch to share like images and video on platforms that you don't control anyway. So it's like you clearly want to share it with like people outside your ecosystem. This is just another way to do it on a scale that's a lot larger.
That's a question you guys might know the answer to, because I don't know, and I think we've talked about it before. Are there any games on Switch that are blocked, like the way on Wii U was? Like Wii U had certain games you couldn't share screen images from, like they just literally wouldn't let you. Because I remember, like Watch Dogs is a good example. Watch Dogs on Wii U, I played it on there, and that game was always blocked. You could not upload a screenshot to Miiverse from Watch Dogs. It was
no way. Because it's a Ubisoft game, and it would probably have too many glitches for you to share.
Well, wait. Since the Ubisoft game, wait. To counter that, they do that for their PlayStation ones, where it's hidden trophies and like you can't see the screenshot for it, like kind of thing. So it might have been because it's a third-party game, and they have that tied to like how.
That could be.
I mean, that's the only thing that I could say that I'm like, oh, that might make sense. I'm not saying that it's
like other games that it happened in, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can't think of any Nintendo ones, but I know some like Persona. If you try to take a picture or a video at certain sections, it'll say like no, because it's a certain section of the story they don't want you to spoil. So that was a way to that's exactly even though you could just take a picture with your camera if you wanted to, but like that's a way to make it less easy. I don't think I've run into that on the Switch, but I think that's because none of the games I've played would really be spoiled much. Like I can't think of any game where if I shared a screenshot, it's like you ruined the entire game. Like it might be unfortunate, like spoilers wise, but like it's not gonna be like
if they didn't do it. If they didn't do it with Zelda, they're not going to do it. I mean, for their own games, because Zelda you could have spoiled. You could have put up like spoilers, like of like stuff in the game, like of the endings, of the plot, of the hidden memories, all that good stuff, and you totally could. So
I mean, there wasn't much there to begin with, so I don't really know you would spoil.
I was waiting for this.
More so Ganon than anything else, just because he's a weird freak monster.
Overcooked too? For your party?
I plan to. One of my good friends got it and was saying it's got online. You can play it together, and I liked Overcooked 1.
Okay, I didn't know if you played. I was contemplating getting it. I was just worried it's just an extended Mario Party minigame. So I was like,
Eli, I think Eli, do you have Overcooked 2? I think you reviewed it.
I actually didn't. I have it, and I played online with our people. But I haven't actually played too much of the actual game, other than maybe halfway through the first world. Okay. And over break, I'm hoping I'll play some of it with my brother. But I mean, online. So it seemed like there was a little bit of lag online, like enough to where, just a little bit enough to where you could notice it, because Overcooked's a really, really fast-paced game. And usually don't really care about it. But in this case, since you're relying on your teammate, it was kind of like weird. But I think from what I heard from our reviewer, it's like mostly fine.
Okay. I mean, I was kind of interested in it. I was like, should I just rather get Splatoon 2 in the Octopath DLC with it? Which I'm still surprised Nintendo hasn't released a full version. But it's like I was either gonna get that or like Overcooked 2. So I'm like on the fence. I might just get both, but I just wanted to know if anybody else actually played it, etc.
I've heard good things about it, and Overcooked 1 is super fun. So Eli, I want to know, when you say there was a little bit of lag, do you recall if that was pre-internet, Nintendo Internet, or was that post Nintendo Internet? I would be curious to know.
I forgot. That's a good question. Got that existing.
I really don't remember.
Right. I think it might have been pre, because I remember you talking about it. It feels like at least a couple months ago when it dropped, and that could potentially be before. But I would wonder if the performance is better now with their own server and everything like up and running. I plan on getting it at some point because one of my good friends like got it specifically to play with me, and then he and I have both been so busy we haven't gotten together. And like, even though it's an online game, which would be the point sort of, I think he and I are both so busy it doesn't even matter right now. It doesn't, online or offline, we're both like, yeah, I don't have time to play games like reliably to bother downloading it yet or whatever, because it's like $20, which I think is a fair price for a game with online support and a game that's as fun as Overcooked is. So but it's just like high enough that I've held off, I think, that I'm like, well, I'll wait till I'm really going to play it, not just get it in advance or whatever, because I got enough to play. So I got enough Gungeon to keep me happy for the rest of, I don't know, the rest of the generation. So, it's cool. I'll just play. Yeah.
At least a generation.
I know. It's like I meant to play all these other new games this year, and then I discovered this game, and it's like it just ate me alive. It's just like I have
I think
serious
you played
addictions.
a total of like 3 games this entire year.
I like Gungeon took over since September, and I barely play anything else. Honestly, like I'm itching to play it. Like it's really rare when a game hits me that hard. And I think officially twin stick shooter, roguelike twin stick shooter, is my favorite genre currently of my life. It's just like it just took over everything. It's just like, okay, that's it. That's all I want to play all the time. But yeah. Anyway, enough about that.
Yeah. So next news piece. Apparently they're thinking of doing more Let's Go style Pokemon games if the current ones sell well, which I'm pretty sure they already have. What do you think of that, Eli, now that you've played it?
Damn it.
To enough?
Shouldn't have bought it. Speak with my wallet.
Well, there you go.
Should have kept out. Bad choice. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, I think it's unfortunate. Obviously, I prefer main games, and if I want a spin-off, I don't want a Let's Go type game. Mm-hmm. I want, a mystery dungeon game or a Pokemon Conquest game or something that's cool. Mm-hmm. Not like a dumbed-down version of Pokemon. Mm-hmm. So I think it's unfortunate, personally.
So yeah, I was as far as I'm concerned, they'd probably take over remakes versus like main games, of course. And then I looked back, and there aren't too many like remakes left. If they were to do it, there's like Diamond and Pearl and Black and White, and that's pretty much it. Yeah, I think Black and White is pretty popular, but would you want to see a Diamond and Pearl or Black and White remake anyway? Like, would you be fine if they skipped it?
Yeah,
because personally, I couldn't. I don't really care much for those games anyway. So
still keep the Let's Go style.
Yeah, like let's just say instead of remaking Diamond and Pearl or Black and White to like round off all those remakes, they just do Let's Go again from the beginning. As like, okay, well, we'll do Red and Blue or whatever.
I don't know. I don't want it. I want a Heart Gold remake. I don't know. I mean, I think it's simply because of the mechanics. Because honestly, it sucks that you just catch Pokemon to level up. Like, it's kind of a joke, Mason's my girlfriend. Like, we'll catch a single Pokemon and it'll, 300 XP level up our Pokemon. It's like, that's stupid. Why? So I just think fundamentally I have a disagreement with the game, and now that I think about it, I think I'd prefer the Sinnoh remake, and just give me a normal Sinnoh remake. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Sorry about that.
No, I agree. I don't really want to go back to the other. We already got remakes. We don't need remakes of the remakes. We don't need. Technically, this is like the second remake of Kanto.
Yep.
So let's not, make second and then third remakes on top of that. This is getting ridiculous.
Remakes are remakes, then. Cue that old meme.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
that-
The
that,
T-shirt just has like a Pikachu on it. Remakes on remakes on remakes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I think we'll end it off with this last piece. Mike's favorite game is teased for the Switch. Skyward Sword, apparently. Nintendo is
Wait.
Nintendo. So I'll explain the story and then go from there. So apparently there was a Zelda concert in Japan, and Enuma apparently teased to the people attending that they were going to have some sort of news, either a port or a remake. He didn't really say, but he was just teasing that Skyward Sword was coming in some form. Nintendo apparently goes back and denies it because they'll deny whatever if they haven't officially announced it. But that's where that news comes from. Take it if it,
I mean,
if it's true or not, whatever. But
is there any other data about this? Like anything else? Like before I comment on that, like any other hints or anything like that? That's
no. So it was like
the whole
Enuma
news.
teased it
That
at
was
the
pretty much it.
concert. I don't really know what was said.
Okay, just
Japanese,
checking
but-
the data.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like you got to remember, it could always be like some kind of tie into Smash or something else. Like like who knows? I mean, I will say that as someone who played Skyward Sword all the way through and does not think it's a top tier Zelda, a remake where they fix A, the draw distance, and then B, maybe change the game in some ways, the same way they did with the HD Wind Waker. It's a little soon for this, but I still would think it might be a good thing. I mean, like, Skyward Sword is a game that could have been good, is like the way I see it. Like, I'm like, it's okay as it stands. And for me, as I've bitched many a time to all y'all, the main thing I hated about it was the art style and the draw distance. Like, I hated flying around and feeling like I hated seeing the limits of the system I'm playing on so vividly, where I'm playing and I'm like, it just looks shitty because I can tell the system is trying. It's just like, it's like popping graphics, like left and right, like in my memory. For like the whole time I'm flying, I'm like, this just looks shitty. I hate this part of it. Then I get in the dungeons and like them okay. And if they were up res to like Scott the way they did Wind Waker, that game could look really good. Like, I don't know. It was it was pushing.
It doesn't seem that the
too-
world is boring and small and repetitive.
Right. I mean, I agree ultimately. I feel like there's a good game in there. And it would have to be more almost like a remake plus to make me really be excited. Be like, yeah, they're gonna fix all that. They're gonna make the world a little more interesting, a little bigger. Yeah, I agree completely. But I think there was a good game in there. That's the shame of it. I'm like, it's like Other M. I think Other M is a good game.
I think Other M's a good game. I'm with you, man. I remember we had that team up.
At its core, it's a good game. It's like, but I completely understand what people don't like about it too. It's like, okay, but at its core, there's a good game in there, and you could remake this with some effort. I know a lot of people hate Sunshine. Like, there are people that hate Mario Sunshine. I think it's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
and,
I hate it. I don't think it's a good game at all. I think it's a mediocre game at best.
Right, but again, like, I'm not so respecting that opinion. I feel like there's a good game in there, and maybe some of the things people hate about it could be addressed. Like,
I agree. I wouldn't be upset if they ever remade Sunshine. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'll give it another shot, or like they clean it up, or it's like, oh, we use the Odyssey engine or something. Like, I'm not like, I don't hate it to the point where I'm like, they should never touch it again. But I'm near that level though for Skyward Sword. I just don't think there's anything that could save that game.
Huh. Cool. Yeah, there were moments where I felt like that, and then I'd get to a really good dungeon, like I always think the Sand Temple or whatever you want to call it, the sand area, that really saved it for me. There was something about that region I really liked. I thought it was really well designed and cool, and I'd have moments like that, like in the dungeons especially, that I was like, oh, okay, I like this game. Like, okay, I like it. And then I'd flip back to like the way you felt. I was like, this game is just not that good. It was a real tough one for me. I mean, it's certainly not a 10 out of 10. People were out of their minds to give that game a 10 out of 10. That was absolutely crazy, bad reviewing. Like, I almost, if you made me ask me for like an example of a bad situation with reviews, that's the game that would come to mind. I'd be like, I don't know. The world went crazy when Skyward Sword came out, and it made a lot of people seem like fanboys, where they're biased, like over fanboyism rather than being objective reviewers, and they were just so hungry for a Zelda that they just gave it a 10. Like, this game is awesome,
Yeah,
like,
it did get a lot of 10s. I mean, one of the few guys I think that's when I started like respecting like the Succoid and all that was like Jim Sterling. He was a pretty tough reviewer, and I remember him saying some stuff that I really agreed with, and I was like, finally, someone who didn't give this game a 10. Like, thank you.
It doesn't
like,
have
made
fishing.
a 10,
It can't be a 10.
Matt, you and your fishing.
I was like, there's got to be someone on this planet who, is not, didn't get brainwashed. And then they're like, nah,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Matt, you had said that's the last news item. Has there been any other news? This is like, I like this podcast, and this is like I can both ask about news and help bring it to the people. But has there been any other news? Because like several weeks ago, we were off for a couple of weeks. It seems like Nintendo has said there is no mini N64 coming, like, period. End of sentence. There's no like classic N64 device like to match the other two that they've done coming. And I don't think there's been any updates since then. Has there, that you know of? Any of you guys?
I'll talk about that in a second. I did want to say something about Skyward Sword. No, that's okay. I think it's, whether they say it's happening or not, I think it's inevitable, to be quite honest. It's literally the last 3D Zelda game they haven't remade in some form. Now, Twilight Princess got the short end of the stick because they basically just said, we up the resolution and that's about all you're going to get. So that kind of sucks for that game, whereas the other ones actually got changes to them. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's one thing. It's been like 7 years, so plenty enough time. But yeah, like all the 2D games have been on multiple consoles. But yeah, it seems like it's going to happen at some point. It's just a matter of how they do the motion controls, because I don't know if the Joy-Con motion controls are better or worse. I've seen them in some cases where it's worse because someone played, I think, World of Goo, where you have to use it as a pointer, and it was like it didn't work well at all. So I guess it depends on how they make that work. I wonder if they would add controller support for people who didn't like motion controls. You can technically do it, just make the second stick like the motions instead. People have already done it on emulators. I don't think that'd be a great way to play it, but maybe they would do that since it's a remake. And yeah, not really. Whatever. The last thing is go look at like some screenshots of people running it in the Dolphin emulator on high resolution. It actually looks really good. It's just that the resolution was so poor that everything looked kind of foggy. I'll share some screenshots, but like if they could get it to like this, it would look really good. Doesn't really change the gameplay or anything, but I'm sure it would get people's attention at the very least. Yeah, as far as the N64 Mini, they said we're not working on one. Or I don't have the exact quote. I'd have to pull it up. It sounded. Let me just pull it up. So I don't stick my foot in my mouth.
Sorry for like inserting a news item. I just wanted us to get to that because I feel like it's like relevant news for a lot of people that like really like collecting the classic stuff, and then they all of a sudden just drop this on us. It's like, nope. Like in fact, nope,
so they said, would you rule out an N64 Classic coming? And Reggie responds, I would not ever rule something out, Reggie said, but what I can tell you is certainly that's not in our planning, or not in our planning horizon. So that could mean basically whatever you want. It could sound like he's not saying no, that it's not happening. It's just that in this frame time of however much of a time you want to guess, it's not in there. So that could be like a couple of weeks or a couple of months.
Yeah, he could be lying.
Like it's basically just saying, oh, we don't have anything to say within X amount of time, and X stands for whatever I feel like.
This, so, he's relatively reliable in a lot of ways. Like, but you're absolutely right. It could be like this fiscal year, or something like that. And it's like
someone else brought up a good point that he someone else was suggesting that he just means it's not happening this year, which obviously it's not. There's not enough time left. Like not happening at the end of this year, like the other two consoles did, but maybe sometime next year. I don't know, in spring or something weird. Who knows? I think the problem is the 4 controllers. You have to bundle at least 2.
Yeah.
And
to
really get out of it, you want 4. And you want a lot of games that have 4. And, if they want... The other problem might be they want to get some rare games on there, because a bunch of rare games made up the console. Depends if they want the M-rated ones or not.
Yes.
Because a lot of them were M-rated, but... Like Diddy Kong Racing, Banjo, Kazooie, and Tooie, Jet Force Gemini. I don't know how many people actually like that or if it's good, but
Jet Force Gemini was an amazing game.
Okay.
Jet Force Gemini was an amazing game, but it looks like crap now, and that leads to the other problem of like upscaling these games to an acceptable level is going to be a big challenge for them. Like it's going to be we've talked about it before. You've heard me rant about it before. It's just like that could be the barrier. Like that to me, that 4-controller thing is a huge, great point because the very, very best games on the system rely on 4 people playing. GoldenEye, Mario Kart. You already just those are 2 of the best games on the system.
Well, GoldenEye's definitely not coming, but
right, I know. Like, one of
like Smash, Mario Kart, they could get Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark, right? Yeah, and those games, I am telling you, as someone who's played them recently on original hardware, they do not look great. Like, it's just like I don't know what they do with that because it's like if they're going to release this, it's going to be an HD system meant to be played on HD TVs, and the flaws are screamingly evident even through an emulated thing. You know, it's like those games are dark, they look muddy, they like when you try to run 4 players on GoldenEye or even on Perfect Dark, it's so freaking choppy. I mean, you'd have to redo the code on the games. You'd have to redo the assets. Like I mean, they're not doing that. You know, it's like the nostalgia factor.
I think they put those games on XBLA and they might have like fixed some of those things.
Really?
I don't know. I do remember that because my friend had an Xbox that when they did the rare ports for games on XBLA, they actually like fixed some things like Banjo, Kazooie, and Tooie are like in high res.
Nice.
And some other things. So I know they made changes. I don't know.
I'd like to see that. I have to look that up. I have to look up some video of that to see how good it got. You know, it's like, and then it's hard to tell over computer watching it on YouTube how good it is. You know, but I'd like to see that like a comparison because that is the challenge. It's like I sit there and like endure it. Endure it is the way I put it. You know, it's like I endure it to play those games. I'm like,
I think simply put, it's just not for you. It's going to be for the people who like grew up with it and like don't find polygons a problem like myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's what it looked like and that's how I like it. And now it might be like a bit clearer because they can, up the resolution. But mostly
I don't know. I hear what you're saying. That's a fair point. At the same time, my thought would be, I wonder if the whole world is going to have a wake-up call of like when you go back to visit a fond childhood movie and you find that movie is absolute garbage and you're like, I was an idiot when I was a kid, and the nostalgia isn't going to save it for all those people. It's not even going to be like a big gamer nerd, like, oh, Polygon opinion. It's just going to be like, ew, like, look at this. Like, I'm used to looking at like ultra high def 4K graphics on Red Dead Redemption, whatever. And then this.
Depends on the audience.
Yeah, I think it does. I think we will see eventually, but not this year. Or this week.
No, definitely not this. Yeah, no, not at all.
Depending on what Reggie meant.
Yeah. He meant in 30 seconds from now.
30 seconds possible.
Oh, right. Speaking of 30 seconds from now, the Game Awards is this week, so they're probably going to announce something. So
Prime 4,
tune in for that.
Did they announce Prime 4 last year? Or the other Game Awards?
No, that was E3 they announced Prime 4.
Damn.
But, it was Bayonetta 3 they announced it, the Game Awards.
Oh, so now I'm going to protest this. I'm sorry, guys.
I hope they show that the new trailer for that, but they might. We'll see if they show something else. It'd be interesting nonetheless.
I'm back to ruin Smash, boys. Yeah. Well, happy Smash Eve, guys! Before we sign off, it's like
I know, right?
it's like 4 days from Smash.
Yep.
Woo, dude.
Yeah, I got a coworker who's constantly coming into doesn't play very many games, but Smash is his thing, and he just every day
Nice.
like Eli.
Waiting for it, man.
Smash.
That's all he's waiting for.
I got a job due like the day before, so I'm just like, yeah, get it all done, and then I'll have like a couple of days. We don't have to. Where the next project isn't ready.
I have my plans this weekend. Never leave.
Yeah. All right, so I think we'll wrap it up there. You can find me at the Mango Viking on Twitter and YouTube and everything else. I just share on those two. I'm tired of listing 17 different websites. Eli, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter at PalaceLawn and my writing at NintendoEnthusiast.com.
Nice. And Mike, where can people find you?
Hi guys, find me at Troy27 on Twitch or TroyFullbuster on Twitter. Other than that, I mean, just I finally remembered that Cuphead was the other game I was playing. So
Nice.
yay for my memory for coming back at the end. But yeah, that's it, boys. Get ready for Smash. Because next time you hear from us, we'll have neckbeards because we never left that room because of Smash. Let's go.
Nice. Let's go Smash.
Nice. Unoclay, what about yourself?
Unoclay _Switch on the twits and Unoclay Gaming on YouTube, which is where I'm more focused. I direct people, check me out on Unoclay Gaming. I have a couple funny videos on there if you want to have a laugh.
Ooh, I'm subscribing.
All right. Yeah. Check out my Rob video. It's the one I'm most proud of, but most of them are just like goofy Let's Plays of old games. So if you like old games and Let's Plays and people commenting on them, I occasionally do them, although I've been a little distracted with other projects lately. There's some stuff on there. All right.
Nice. So wherever you're listening, you can find us at Just Another Castle on pretty much every platform on the internet. Hit us up with your questions if you're interested in being a guest at Just Another Castle or me directly at the Manga Viking. So until next time, leave luck to the heavens and leave gaming to Nintendo.
Well, so ends another incident in my day. Now, I think we should go out there and pay those babes a visit. I mean, I'm pretty determined to get some of that out of this.